Okay. So we are continuing with the discussion on 64 qualities of Krishna. And
which number is Prabhuji?
yeah, I'm going to tell you 1 minute, Mataji.
57.
Actually, it's 59 as far as I know.
Yes, Prabhuji, right. You are right.
Okay. So
69.
59, Mataji.
We
5.
got to start from 59th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. Okay, so anybody wants to volunteer to
I can start, Prabhuji.
go ahead, Prabhuji, go ahead, please.
The heading for this 59th one is Krishna gives salvation to the enemies that he kills. Another name for salvation is Apvarga. Apvarga is the opposite of Varga, or the various miserable conditions of material existence. The word Pa Varga indicates the combination of 5 Sanskrit letters Pa, Pa, Ba, Ba, Bha, Ma. These letters are the first letters of the words for 5 different conditions as described below. The first letter Pa comes from the word Parabhava, which means defeat. In this material struggle for existence, we are simply meeting defeat. Actually, we have to conquer birth, death, disease, and old age. And because there is no possibility of overcoming all these miserable conditions due to the illusion of Maya, we are simply meeting with Prabhava or defeat. The next letter, Fa, is taken from the word Fena. Fena is the foam which is found on the mouth when we are very tired, as is commonly observed with horses. The latter Ba comes from the word Banda or bondage. Ba is taken from the word Bhiti or fearfulness. Ma is taken from the word Mriti or death. So the word Pavarga, significance of a struggle for existence, and our meeting with defeat, exhaustion, bondage, fearfulness, and at last death. A parvaga means that which can be nullified all of these material conditions. Krishna is said to be the giver of Pavarga, the path of liberation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the title is that even those personalities who are inimical to Krishna, and if he ends up killing them personally, they get salvation. What does salvation mean? Anybody wants to tell me what salvation means?
Merging with the Brahma's fulgence?
No, that's only one type of salvation.
Yeah, leaving this material platform and then basically getting out from the material world.
That is correct. Getting out of the material world for whatever reason. And then as Prabhuji is saying, merging in the Brahman is one of the ways we can get out of the material world. So it's been explained that another name for salvation is apavarg. Again, as I was saying before, salvation means, as Rajan Prabhu said, getting out of the material world, cessation of material activities, etc., etc. And the word apavarg basically means the same thing. Apavarg is the opposite of pavarg. So those of you who are Hindi speaking, they probably know what kakahara is. Did you learn that, kakahara? Anybody wants to tell me what that is?
Oh, I just want to tell you that Hindi में मेरे सबसे कम marks आते थे.
अरे इतना तो मालूम होगा. का खा गा घा अंगा cha ja ja iya ta ta da da na ta ta da da na pa pa ba ba ma yara lava ta kha shaha chhatragya. Yeah. So, so that is your kakahara. So in that you get the power, which is the 5 letters starting from pa. And then he explains pa means parabha, which means defeat, basically implying that in the material world we cannot win. Why? Because our struggle is for existence, and existence means birth, disease, old age, and finally death. And there's no way anybody, whether we are from rich country or old country, whether we are rich or poor, we are male or female, it doesn't matter. We'll all meet death one day. Most likely, we'll also have some kind of disease, and unless we die before, we'll get old age as well. As a matter of fact, I remember one time, I think it was in Boston, Srila Prabhupada was giving a class, and after the class, one girl, American girl, came to him and said, Swamiji, you come from a very poor country. What can you teach us? We are the world's richest country. We are the topmost country. And Prabhupada said, well, you may be from the richest country. I may be from the poorest country, but we have one thing in common. And the girl said, what could we have in common? And Prabhupada said, both in your country and my country, the death rate is 100%. So it doesn't matter. None of us can win over that. So the whole idea of conquering birth, death, disease, and old age is useless. We will be defeated, and that's what happens. There's no way we can overcome any of these conditions, but we keep trying because of our illusion that we are the controller, and we keep getting defeated. We meet defeat after defeat after defeat. We get totally frustrated, but we don't give up. And we work very hard, which leads us to the next letter, which is pa, pa, pa. Pa stands for pena. Pena is like the foam. When we work very hard, the foam comes out of the mouth, and Prabhupada is giving the example of a horse, and I'm sure some of you, at least not all of you, have seen that. And the horse runs very fast, very hard, very long, and this foam coming out of his mouth. Similarly, we are all in bondage. What is binding us? What kind of ropes are binding us? Anybody? Rajan Prabhu?
The rows of 3 modes.
Yes, exactly. The 3 modes of material nature are binding us completely, and there's no release unless we take shelter of somebody who's not already in bondage. So that's ba is for bandha, bondage. Then we are all afraid. What are some of the things we are afraid of? Anybody?
Death,
Okay. Yes. What else?
Disease,
Sorry, Usha?
disease, attachment,
of losing what we have.
Losing what we have. That's the biggest fear.
losing,
That's the
lose.
biggest fear. Right? So we have all of us have that. Right? Similarly, yes, mrityu, mass and mrityu. We all have that. One day we'll have that. But the point being that this power, which is the Papa Baba Mother we just talked about, represents the material world. And also represents the struggle for existence in the material world, where we will be defeated. And we'll try very hard. We'll have the foam coming out of our mouth. We'll try so hard, but we will totally get exhausted, but we will not get out of our bondage unless we take shelter of somebody who's already liberated. And of course, death is inevitable. There's no question about it. So salvation means getting above all this, all these conditions of the material world, getting out of all this. So here, this point number 59 is saying that Krishna is the giver of salvation or upper work, which is the path of liberation. So this is general statement. We're not talking about enemies yet. It's just general. And as a matter of fact, there's a very wonderful verse spoken by King Chitraketu, by Lord Shiva, after Mother Parvati had cursed Chitraketu, to go become a demon. And he showed basically no emotion. He came down from his airplane, offered his obeisances, and left. And Mother Parvati was surprised that he was not scared, he was not upset, he didn't say anything, just offered obeisances. Lord Shiva told her that Narayana Parasarve Nakutaschan Bibhrati Swarga Apavarga Narakeshu Apitulyarth Darshana. To a devotee, whether you send him to hell, to heaven, or give him salvation and leave him in the material world, it's all the same. Tulyarth Darshana. To him, it's all the same. Why? Because his mind is so absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Narayan. So we've talked about devotees, we've talked about demons, the enemies. Let's now go on to the next paragraph. Somebody wants to go to the next paragraph?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
The impersonalists and the enemies of Krishna, liberation means merging into the Supreme. The demon and the impersonalists do not care for Krishna, but Krishna is so kind that he gives this liberation even to his enemies and to the impersonalists. There is the following statement in this connection. O Murari, Krishna, how wonderful it is that although the demons, who are always envious of the demigods, have failed to penetrate your military phalanx, they have penetrated the region of Mitra, the sun globe. The word Mitra is used metaphorically. Region of Mitra with the sun globe. The word Mitra is used metaphorically. Mitra means the sun globe, and the Mitra also means friend. The demons who oppose Krishna as enemy wanted to penetrate his military phalanx, but instead of doing this, they died in battle, and the result was that they penetrated the planet of Mitra, or the sun planet. In other words, they entered into the Brahman effulgence. The example of the sun planet is given here because the sun is ever illuminating, like the spiritual sky, where there are innumerable illuminating Vaikuntha planets. The enemies of Krishna were killed, and instead of penetrating Krishna's phalanx, they entered into the friendly atmosphere of the spiritual effulgence. This is the mercy of Krishna, and therefore he is known as the deliverer of his enemies also.
Yeah, thank you. So now, very interesting way to start this paragraph. It says for the impersonalists and the enemies of Krishna. So basically, the two are being put in the same category. Would somebody like to explain why? What's the justification here? Anybody?
Because
Yeah.
impersonal people don't believe in Lord Krishna.
No, they believe in God.
They don't believe in the personal form of the Lord.
Right. So why does that make them enemy?
Prabhuji, because the kind of salvation they'll attain is only Brahm Jyoti. They're not.
True, but I'm one step before that. Why does that put them in the same category as enemy of Krishna?
They don't believe in the pastimes, or there is anything.
Right.
Right. They don't think that there is that Krishna did anything. They just believe in that light, and they just want to merge into that. But there is no relationship, basically.
Correct.
Because there is no personal form.
Correct. So they deny the personal form of the Lord. They obviously, because there's no personal form, there's no relationship, as you said. And because there's no relationship, there's no personal form, there are no pastimes. So they deny all that. So Krishna is saying, basically, you're denying my existence. Therefore, it's putting them in the same category as the enemies of Krishna, who are, I should say, as demons, who are even outwardly inimical to Krishna. But I just thought that was very interesting that it is very strong, putting them in the same categories. as the enemies of Krishna. So, we often talk about, don't get along, so don't get close to impersonalists, don't spend time with them. Here's the reason: they're enemies of Krishna. Anyway, the point is, as somebody pointed out, that both the impersonalists and the enemies of Krishna, when killed by Krishna, have the same destination after leaving the body. And even though neither one of these two, the enemies and the persons, care for Krishna, Krishna is so kind that he gives liberation even to them. Right? And it's very interesting because somebody, can you please mute yourself? There's noise coming from your house. Okay, thank you. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Yeah. So basically, Krishna is giving the same treatment to the demons who are trying to kill him, which is basically the real enemies, and to the impersonalists who are denying his form and everything associated with the form, which is relationships and the pastimes, etc., etc. But this is his kindness, this is his merciful nature that's allowing him, or maybe even encouraging him to do this. So that's first point. The second point is that when the demons who are enemies of Krishna are being given the salvation, it's not because Krishna starts thinking, oh, maybe they're devotee. No, it's not that. It's just causeless mercy of the Lord. And basically the point is made somewhere else by Srila Prabhupada that anybody who's even slightly in touch with the Lord, somehow or the other, doesn't matter how he's in touch, in a friendly way, unfriendly way, accidentally, by design, whatever, by plan, whatever, somehow or the other, if they're in touch even slightly with the Lord, they're greatly benefited, even to the point of salvation. And that's the Lord's excellence, the merciful nature. But there is this one thing though. These demons who are killed by Krishna and achieve salvation, they have one good quality. And the good quality is that they're constantly absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Even though inimically, not friendly, not anukulyan, but pratikulyan, but they are constantly absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Kansa, in sleeping, waking, walking, eating, he was always seeing Krishna. In everything, he could see Krishna. Of course, he was thinking Krishna is coming to kill him, but he could see. Shishupal was always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna that, oh, he's going to come and kill me. He's going to kill me. He's my killer. He's my would-be killer. Always absorbed. Same thing goes for, Ravan. Always thinking about that. So the point is, they are absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. The only reason they're not called devotees is they're not favorable to Krishna. Their actions and their thoughts are unfavorable. They want to cause harm to Krishna as opposed to serve Krishna. Okay, but the point of being absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, even though inimically, is very important. But that enmity in their heart makes them separate or different from devotees. And therefore, devotees and demons can never be equal. Devotees will always be higher. And that's why, even though we say that they both get salvation, but there's a big difference in the salvation that the devotees get and the salvation that the demons or the impersonalists get. And the difference is the devotees end up in one of the spiritual planets, all the way Vaikuntha to Golok Vrindavan Dham, whereas the demons and the impersonalists are basically left hanging in the Brahman effulgence. The devotees get to the planet, the spiritual planet, and they're able to eternally serve Krishna. And we have read many times before in the Nectar of Devotion that the pleasure of being with Krishna and serving Krishna is so much higher than the pleasure of being in Brahman effulgence where there's no material misery. It's like there's no comparisons, day and night. And Prabhupada explains in one place that just compare the two things. A devotee is sitting in a planet serving Krishna, in association with Krishna, association with the devotees, just serving. And there's a demon or a impersonalist just floating in the Brahman effulgence, in space. Just try to imagine somebody is floating in Brahman effulgence in the light, and somebody sitting there in a planet serving Krishna constantly. So you can imagine the pleasure that the devotee is getting out of serving Krishna, being with Krishna on the same planet, nearby Krishna. There's no comparison between that and somebody just floating around in the Brahman effulgence. Okay, so it's not the same.
One question.
So there's no comparison between the two positions, floating in the Brahman effulgence and sitting in a planet serving Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I have a question. When these enemies of Krishna get salvation, do they realize that they get the salvation because of the Krishna bestows his mercy on them, or they don't realize?
So simply being touched by Krishna, they have become pure. And so therefore, yes, they do realize. They do realize, but not to the point of saying, oh, from now on I will serve Krishna.
Mhm.
But they're there, just away from the material existence.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure. Anybody else? Any other questions? So now,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
I
Krishna.
don't know if it's appropriate to ask, but I will ask. Prabhuji, they say like Ravan was such a Vidwan. He knew what he was, dwelling on. He was not even planning for his own death, but for the salvation of his entire family. People talk like that. I mean, like if people knew that he's really looking forward to meet Ram Bhagwan in terms of getting liberation, he could have done it otherwise. Why was he taking, I mean, like I don't know if this question is even relevant here. Why was he taking this path of going against the will of Bhagwan? And then aren't those demons also planned by Krishna in those leelas? So how come we say they are enemies?
Yeah. So when you start with the wrong assumption, you get to the wrong conclusion. And that's what's happening here. So no, Ravan was not planning that he'll get salvation and his family will get salvation. Therefore, let's go and make enemy with Ram. No, he wasn't thinking that at all. I mean, his memory had been affected by Lord's plan. And so he was really thinking that, no, I mean, Sita's for me to enjoy. And, I will defeat Ram. Now, later on, much later on, like maybe 9-10 months after he had kidnapped Mother Sita, he was starting to realize, because so many people were telling that maybe Ram is God. And that's what he was saying, well, fine, then if I die with the hand of God, then I would. But not to start with. Similarly, there's a very famous story that Lord Ram sent Lakshman to go learn from Raman as he was laying down about to die. That is just not true. It's not in Ramcharitmanas, it's not Valmiki Ramayana. It's just some people made it up. So there's a lot of things like that. People just make it up and suddenly it becomes a fact. And then you say, then the conclusion doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, it won't, because it's starting from the wrong place. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's keep going. So let's talk about Putana for a second. She was an enemy. She was a demon. Right? But she also became an example of the extreme mercy of Lord to an enemy. And it shows, I should say, demonstrates a point that a noble man accepts good qualities of a person, even though that person may be of a doubtful character. Just as one may accept nectar from a stalk of poison. And Lord Krishna, when he was 6 days old, Putana tried to kill him. Not realizing, because she was a demon, that even as a baby, Krishna is always Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether he's a baby, 6 years old, or a crawling baby, or he's a chariot driver, or a ambassador of somebody, or a menial servant of somebody like Yudhishthir, he's still Supreme Personality of Godhead. She didn't realize that. She tried to poison him, and Krishna showed that no, his value as the Supreme Lord does not diminish just because he's in a baby form. Just because he's doing certain baby-like pastimes to please his mother Yashoda, pure devotee, doesn't mean he's no longer Supreme Personality of God. So Putana was there pretending to be an affectionate mother and allowing baby Krishna to give her milk. And the Lord accepted it because that's a mother's duty. So he said, okay, even though your intentions are not good, I'll accept you as my mother. And gave her the highest reward, a residence in Golok Vrindavan. That is our Lord Krishna. That's the character of our Lord Krishna. Therefore, he is our ultimate shelter. Same thing happened to Aghasur. As the boys were entering the mouth of Aghasur, who was in the form of a python, they kept looking at Krishna, who was still outside. And Aghasur was thinking, these boys are so innocent. They don't know what they're getting into. That simple thought of appreciating one quality of these pure devotees of Krishna made him eligible to not get salvation like the other demons, but rather go to Golok Vrindavan. So my point is that even the demons who are the enemies of Krishna, they get salvation because Krishna is so merciful by nature. Any question? Okay, who would like to do the next one then?
Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
The attractor of liberated souls. There are many examples of how Krishna attracted even great liberated souls like Sukdev Goswami and the Kumaras. In this connection, the following statement was given by the Kumaras. How wonderful it is that although we are completely liberated, free from the desire, and situated at the stage of Paramahansa, we are still aspiring to taste the pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
Jai, thank you. So there is a very famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 7, text 10. It's known as Atma Ram verse. And it became famous because Lord Chaitanya gave, I think, 64 different meanings of this particular verse to Ramananda Roy, and then later on to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and then later on still to Rupa Goswami. So that's what made this verse very famous. And it says, Atma Ramascha Muniyo Nirgrantho Api Urukrame Kurvanti Ahata Kim Bhaktim Itham Bhut Guna Hari which basically means that those people who are Atmaram, Atmaram means self-satisfied, no material desires, no hankering, no lamentation. They are self-satisfied. Krishna is also Atmaram, fully sufficient, self-sufficient. So these people who have no knots in their heart because they have no material desires, even they start to perform causeless devotional service to the Lord. Why? Because the Lord's qualities are so amazing, they become attracted by the qualities of the Lord. So even though they have no attraction for anything else, even though they don't desire anything material, but they become so attracted to the Lord, they start serving Him. The attractor of the liberated souls. Similarly, here the example is being given of Shukadeva Goswami. So you probably know that Shukadeva Goswami, how long was he in the womb of his mother, Bhattika?
13 years.
16 years.
Okay, 16 years, we'll go with that. So he didn't want to come out. He didn't want to come out because he said, yeah, as soon as I come out, Maya will catch me and I'll come in illusion. I don't want to come out. Vyasadeva tried very hard, but didn't succeed. So he went to Dwarka. From Badrikashram to Dwarka, where Lord Krishna was residing. He told him the whole story and said, please come with me and convince my would-be son to come out. So then Krishna came and spoke to the boy inside. And the boy inside said, no, my dear Lord, I don't want to come because Maya will catch me. And Krishna said, I assure you that Maya will never catch you. So come out. So Shukadeva Goswami came out as a Shushk Jnani, means an impersonalist whose only business was to learn and debate and speculate. And he ran away. The moment he was born, he ran away. And was spending his time as a Jnani, impersonalist. So Vyasadeva, being very upset about that, was sending his disciples to go look for him. So one day, there were two of his disciples. They were disguised as woodcutters. So they were there in the forest, cutting woods, cutting trees. And they were singing two verses. One was about Putana, actually. Aho bakiyam stan kalukutam jinghas me apyad abhisadhavi. Lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tato nayami. Kam va dayalum sharanam bhajan. Oh, who's this merciful personality who liberated even the woman, Putana, who put the worst of the poisons on her breast and fed to Krishna. And Krishna, being so kind, gave her liberation. Shukadeva Goswami heard that and he said, oh, wait a minute. Who's this person? I want to know about him. And then they chanted another one describing the beauty of Krishna. Barhavitam natavarvapu karanyo karnikaram. That's a very famous verse from the 10th canto, chapter 21, text 5. Basically saying, the gopis are talking. They're saying, here's Krishna entering the forest. And he's wearing the peacock feather on his head. You know, he's got flowers, karnika flowers, garland, and he's got flowers in his ear, on top of his ear. He's wearing, gold colored dhoti. He's got Vajanti garland. It's just looking so beautiful. So Shukadeva Goswami heard these two verses and he says, I want to know who this person is. Take me to him. So they took him to Vyasadeva, and that's how they met, and that's how Vyasadeva learned Srimad Bhagavatam. So an example of a Jnani becoming attracted, self-realized Jnani, becoming attracted to Krishna. Then we know another, Mother Lakshmi. Mother Lakshmi is chaste, faithful wife of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan. And she became attracted to Krishna. How did she show that? Anybody? How did she show her attraction to Krishna?
She wanted to join Raslila.
Sorry, say again?
She wanted to join Raslila.
Yes, she wanted to join Krishna and the other gopis in Ras Leela. And she was not allowed, of course, but the point is she wanted to join. That was her attraction. The sages of Dandakaranya, who did they get attracted to?
Lord Ram.
Lord Ram, exactly. So again, these are self-realized sages, been performing austerities for I don't know how many thousands of years, and they become attracted to Lord Ram. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have a question.
हाँ.
आपने बताया कि like those Atmarama self-realized souls, for them, eventually, so they get attracted to Krishna. Like even they get attracted to. What I feel like, if someone is Atmaram, they are above the three modes of material nature. Only then one can become Atmaram.
Correct.
So at that stage, you are not affected by any material energy.
Correct.
So if you're not affected by material energy, there's directly spiritual energy which is working on you. So it is much more easier and natural to get attracted at that stage rather than when under material, when situated under material forces.
That is correct. However, what do you get attracted to? Something has to be amazing, wonderful, and that's the point. Krishna is so amazing, his quality is so amazing that even these people become attracted. That was about Itham Bhut Gunai Hari. His qualities are so wonderful that even these people become attracted. They won't get attracted to just anybody. Okay, did I answer your question, Ru?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so now we are going to move to an area which is the main reason why we decided to go out of Nectar of Devotion syllabus to chapters 21 and 22. And that is talking about Krishna's 4 unique qualities not found in anyone else, not even Lord Narayan. So we just finished talking about the 5 qualities that only Lord Narayan has, ending up with the self-realized persons being attracted to Krishna. Right? That was number 60. I think that was number 60, right? Let me see. Yeah, number 60, right? So we did 60. We did, 59, which was what? Give salvation to the enemies, right? Then being the source of all incarnations, 58. All the universes come out of him, 57. And we talked about number 56, which is he's got inconceivable potencies. So those 5 are in Lord Narayan, nobody else. Lord Shiva doesn't have them. Brahma, of course, doesn't have them. Krishna, of course, has them. But now we're going to talk about qualities of Krishna that even Lord Narayan doesn't have. So in other words, nobody has that. And those qualities are known as the sweetness of Krishna, a madhurya. And now 61 through 64, we're going to talk about the 4 madhurya, 4 sweet qualities of Krishna. They're known as Leela Madhurya, which means sweet pastimes. Prema Madhurya, which means sweet relationship with the devotees, pure devotees. Vyanu Madhurya, which is sweetness of the flute. And Rupa Madhurya, which is the sweetness of the beauty of Krishna. Okay? So it's because of these 4 qualities, Leela Madhurya, Prema Madhurya, Vyanu Madhurya, and Rupa Madhurya. Because of these 4 qualities, the reason for Krishna's appearance are different from the appearance of other incarnations of Krishna. So for example, in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Right? In 4.8, he says, Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya duskritam. Also, it is said that Krishna appears because of the desire of the devotees, the need of the time. But all that applies to other incarnations of Krishna, not for Krishna. Krishna is not interested in killing demons. He's not interested in protecting devotees. His name can do that. Nor is he interested in, or primarily, I should say, primarily interested in reestablishing the religious principles. These are not primary reasons of his appearance, even though he's doing it, but that is not the primary reason why he's appearing. Rather, he says that I appear to enjoy my pastimes with my pure devotees. And then he says, I'm not very impressed when somebody worships me in the mood of awe and reverence. When somebody is very aware of my majesty, that I'm the supreme God, I'm the Lord of the Lords, King of the Kings, I'm supremely worshipable. Krishna says, maza nahi aata. Something is missing there. Prem shithil ho jata hai. The love goes slack. Krishna says, I would rather have where my pure devotee thinks they are superior to me. He appreciates it when the devotee thinks that I got to protect this boy, this Krishna. So, for example, Mother Yashoda, she actually thought that if she did not feed Krishna, Krishna will either become very weak or maybe even die. She was worried about him. She would chant mantras for protection of Krishna. She'll pray to demigods to protect her son Krishna, completely unaware of the fact that the personalities like the demigods she's praying to, they are actually Krishna's servants and they depend upon him for protection. Every time they start losing to the demons, they'll run to Krishna and say, please help us. And she's praying to them to protect her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because I like that. So in other words, basically, Krishna is saying, I allow my sweetness to trump my godness. So in the case of Krishna, his sweetness trumps his godness or godhood. And then what happens is that, as you know, whenever Krishna or his incarnations appear, if there are situations where he will need devotees or associates for his pastimes, then all these devotees who come with him, maybe a few years before or after, that's different, but with him, they also, of course, they're coming from the spiritual world, they also carry the same mood as Krishna. For example, with Ram, as Lord Ram. So we talk about Krishna here. So the devotees who appear with Krishna to assist him in his pastimes, they carry the same mood as Krishna wants them to be able to do what he wants to do in his pastimes. In other words, they also come in the mood that Krishna is not God, that somehow we are superior, at least equal. So they all are in the same mood that assists the mood that Krishna is coming with. They basically want to, enhance Krishna's pastimes with their pure love. What does that mean? That means basically they too, during these pastimes, become unaware that Krishna is God. Elsewhere it's mentioned that Krishna instructs his internal potency, Yogamaya, to make all these associates, which includes the cowherd boys, the gopis, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, etc., to forget that he's God. Not only that, he says, my dear Yogamaya, you act upon me also and make me forget I'm God. Of course, he's always superior, he always remains in control, but he pretends that Yogamaya is able to make him forget. Because if he didn't forget, he won't eat soil. Mad bhakshan leela nahi hogi. If he doesn't forget, he won't crawl. If he doesn't forget, he won't steal butter. So all these pastimes are done only because he forgets his God. Until time comes when he has to remember, no, he's God. So demon attacks, Krishna remembers, I'm God. Right? So because the devotees, being in the same mood to assist Krishna's pastimes, they forget that Krishna is God, and they remain forgetful even after they get very clear evidence that no, this has to be God. So for example, 6 days old, Krishna kills Putana, who ends up with a 12-mile long body, high as a mountain. There's Krishna crawling on top of her. And they say, how is that possible? But never occurs to them Krishna is God. At the best they say, oh, Narayan came to help him. Or some demigod came to help him. But now that Krishna is God, he did this. Similarly, at 7 years old, he lifts Govardhan Hill. And they can't imagine that, no, that he's doing it. They're saying, no. The boys are saying, we put our sticks up to hold it. You couldn't have done it. Madhu Mangal starts saying, no, it's nothing to do with you. It's the aura of my austerities, because I'm Brahman, the Brahmatej. That's what helped you. Somebody said, no, Govardhan was so merciful, it started floating by itself. But nobody's willing to say, oh, you must be God that you're able to hold this big hill up for 7 days. Mother Yashoda saw universal form of Krishna in his mouth, not just once, but twice. But both times she said, oh, no, I must have been dreaming. There's another example of Krishna taking all the residents of, not all the residents, but the friends of Nanda Maharaj to this pond where they saw his opulence in Vaikuntha being served by all these demigods and prayed to him. They came out and said, no, I think we had a dream. They quickly reject any notion that Krishna may be God. And they come back to thinking like, oh, he's my son, he's my friend, he's my lover, or whatever. So basically, all the pastimes of Krishna are impacted by this thought process of Krishna and his devotees. So let me pause again before we start number 61. Any questions or comments? Okay. So number 61 is performer of wonderful activities, which is Leela Madhurya. As I was saying before, Leela Madhurya means uniquely sweet pastimes. Now, we should ask a question. What makes a person so sweet? Let's open this up just to make sure they are all awake. What makes a person sweet in your mind?
Their loving interactions.
Okay. Yeah. What else?
Compassionate.
Which one? The sweet person or you?
That sweet person.
Okay. All right. Okay. What else?
His character, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. What else?
He is beautiful.
Okay. So he's beautiful, therefore sweet. Okay. All right. Anything
Sweet
else?
talks.
Nidha?
Sweet talks, like, talking very sweetly.
Okay.
and
So, okay.
Attracting everyone with
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. But let me let me say it this way. There has to be some kind of submission to those who love the sweet person. Otherwise, it's not very sweet. So, for example, you meet somebody who's very handsome, somebody who speaks very nicely, like a good speaker, somebody who can dance very nicely. I say, wow, so sweet. Talk to them, and they're not nice to you at all. They start to be very challenging or very egotistical. Would you consider them sweet? No. So all those qualities, they go away. There's no
Yeah.
sweetness unless that some kind of submission to the person who loves them is there. And that's the unique quality of Krishna. Even though Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he's Supreme Father, even though he's Supreme Controller, even though he's Supreme Enjoyer, he submits to these devotees who love him. And that's what makes him so sweet. His submission to those who love him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro, very important one. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so that is unique characteristic of Krishna when he comes, very submissive. No other form of Krishna as pastimes as sweet as Krishna, because in no other pastimes is the Lord so completely submissive to the love of his devotees. I mean, why does he steal butter? Who wants to tell me? Why does Krishna steal butter?
To make the
Now the gopis
gopis
want him
happy.
to
To
steal,
give
but
pleasure to the gopis. Yeah.
Yeah, because they want him to. They want him to steal. He says, okay, you want me to, then I'll do it. He dances. He wants to stop, and they say, no more butter, no butter for you, buttermilk for you if you don't dance. He says, okay, I submit. Nanda Maharaj says, bring my sandals. He says, okay. Puts them on his head and delivers it. That is submission. His friends want to fight with him, and he says, okay, let's fight, and then he's defeated. That's submission. As you know, the story I've told you many times, once they threw him out of the game. I said, okay, he leaves the game. And then he cries that they're not calling him back. That is submission. No other incarnation does that. No other incarnation does that. And the submission is highest in Vrindavan. And that is why Vrindavan Leela is the sweetest among all his pastimes. And among all the Vrindavan pastimes, Vrindavan Leela, Ras Leela is the sweetest. Because in Ras Leela, Krishna submits to the gopis' love to the fullest extent. Okay, any comments?
That's good explanation.
Sorry, Prabhu?
Good explanation.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Very
Okay,
nice.
sure, thank you. So who would like to read number 61? Somebody who's not read it yet.
62.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Sure, go ahead.
61. Performer of wonderful activities. In the Brihad Vaman Puran, the Lord says, although I have many fascinating pastimes, whenever I think of the Ras Leela which I perform with the gopis, I become eager to have it again. One devotee has said, I know about Narayana, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and I also know about many other incarnations of the Lord. Certainly, all the pastimes of such incarnations are exciting to my mind, but still the pastimes of the Ras Leela performed by Lord Krishna himself are wonderfully increasing my transcendental pleasure.
Yeah. So, don't feel qualified to talk about Ras Leela, but let's talk about some other, or at least one specific pastime that shows the sweetness of his pastimes. The Leela Madhurya. Leela means pastime, as you know. Madhurya means sweetness. So, most incarnations are single pastime incarnation. For example, Kurmadev came. What did Kurmadev do? Anybody? Kurma
He
Avatar?
said- He supported the base.
Yeah. Yeah, he supported the base of the mountain, Mandarachal, and in the process removed the itch on his back. What did Matsya Avatar do?
Oh, he took all the sages and the Vedas, the herbs and everything.
Correct.
To them.
Correct. He came as fish, got a boat, put everybody there. That's the only pastime. What about Varadev? What was his pastime?
To pick earth out.
Mhm.
That's what.
And in the process,
In the process,
He killed
killed Hiranyaksh.
correct. What did Singdev do?
Killed Hiranyakashipu. And also give pleasure to Prahlad.
Right.
I mean,
Right. So the point is that they all did one single pastime. I mean, Lord Nrsimhadev basically appeared for the pillar, the request of Prahlad, killed Hiranyakashipu, accepted prayers from the demigods, took Prahlad in his lap, spoke with him, and then that's it, done. Sure, Lord Ram had few more pastimes than most other incarnations. Like he killed demons, he broke Lord Shiva's bow, he married Sita Maharani, he honored Bharata, his brother, he killed Bali to save Sugriv, killed Ram to save Sita. Sure, he had a few more. But none of them have any sweetness that compares anywhere near the sweetness of the pastimes of Krishna. Okay. We know Krishna is avatari, right? What does that mean? What does avatari mean?
All
So-
the incarnations came from him.
Right.
Appeared.
Right. He's the source of all incarnations. Correct. So let's just get an idea of his pastimes. So his pastimes start when Vasudeva and Devaki get married. Kansa is taking them, which is Devaki and Vasudeva, on his chariot. By the way, what is the relationship between Kansa and Devaki? Just a pop quiz.
sister,
cousin, sister,
Brother,
Sorry?
sister.
cousin,
Brother, sister.
brother.
cousin, sister, brother and sister. Yeah.
What kind of brother and sister?
They're cousins. They're
Cousins.
not.
Yes, cousins. They were cousins. Okay. All right. So, yeah, so Kansa taking, but he really loved Devaki as his sister. And he's taking them to the house of Vasudeva. When there's Akashvani, Doordarshan nahi, dusri wali Akashvani. And it says, "You fool, who are you taking on your chariot? Her 8th child will kill you." And that changes the demon's mind completely. From being a loving brother, is ready to kill her right there. And the whole story goes around. I'm not going to get into the details, but ultimately he killed 6 of Devaki's children. 7th, Lord Balaram was transferred into the womb of Mother Rohini. That was, I guess, the first child transplant ever. Krishna was taken to Gokul by Vasudeva on his birthday. And then Krishna killed Putana when he was 6 days old, Shaktasura when he was 3 months old, and Tanavard when he was 1 year old. He lifted the Govardhan hill at 7 years of age, on and on and on. And not only that, what weapons did Krishna use in Vrindavan?
His hands,
Sorry?
Hands
Hand-
hands
hands
and
and
feet.
legs.
And, yeah.
Hands and legs, no weapon, really, like his own body, but no weapon. Every other incarnation used some kind of weapon. Nrsimha Bhagwan was the little exception. He used his nails, but otherwise they all used weapons, but not Krishna. Right? And then, like other incarnations used, bows and arrows and clubs and all those kind of things, but not Krishna. Putana is really funny. He didn't use anything, just sucked the life out of her. And one after the other. Every day between breakfast and lunch, one demon will show up. Krishna will kill him, and then they'll have lunch together. Not the demon, but the boys. Krishna killed Keshi demon, he killed Vatsasur, Aghasur, Bakasur. Arishtasur, without using any weapons. And that's what made even the killing of these demons so sweet. You know that bhajan adhanam madhanam? Yes, shamitam madhanam, damitam madhanam. Even the killing and chastising by Krishna is sweet. And then he chastised Kalyanag. He drank fire twice, right? How twice? Anybody?
One time in the forest fire, right? That's
Okay, this is what
that's
chulha se.
sorry.
This is what chulha se.
I don't know. Chula se kahan se? No chula.
Fir?
First, I know there was a forest. Don't remember the other one.
Okay, anybody else?
What's that?
Krishna drank fire twice. So what were
Oh,
the two occasions? So first one, Nitya mentioned that there were boys. They went to forest. They got trapped in the fire. The cows and the boys were trapped. They came to Krishna. He said, "Close your eyes." And they closed their eyes, and Krishna drank the fire. That was the first one.
That was Bhandir one, right?
Bhandir one.
Bhandir.
One is on a what's the other one? Khanda?
मैं देख रही हूँ गूगल में
I can't.
वो खांडव वन है, बट वो
Khanda.
रामलीला में था शायद खांडव वन, right?
Okay, I can't remember. It was one of the ones. And second time was after.
Sorry, I just want to guess if that's correct. Second one is when Krishna was with Arjun and who was that demon who?
No, I'm talking Vrindavan Leela.
Oh, okay.
Also, in that Leela, Krishna did not drink the fire.
He did something to
He
save
did something.
Arjuna.
Yes, correct. That's correct. But anyway, we are in Vrindavan Leela. Okay, think.
Kalia.
Yes. So after chastising the Kalia, then everybody was there. They're tired, so they sleep there. And as they were sleeping, the forest fire happened. And this time, Krishna did not wake them up. If I wake them up, they'll create problems for me. Because I already, been in trouble for eating, matti. I can't take another risk from Mother Yashoda being chastising me. So I just drank it as they were still sleeping. So that twice. And my point is that, he's doing all these pastimes. Basically, all these pastimes that make him look like a hero, the main character in a drama. He's simply doing wonderful acts. On the one side, he's killing demons. On the other side, he's doing his pastimes with the gopis. He's doing his pastimes with Govardhan. He's doing Damodar Leela. He's doing Chirharan Leela. He's doing Ras Leela. He's doing all sorts of funs and games. Not funs, fun and games. And all this, amazing amorous pastimes with the gopis. And of course, then he goes to Mathura, he does Mathura Leela, he does Dwarka Leela, and then he basically causes destruction of his own dynasty, and he disappears. All those pastimes, one after the other. There's so many pastimes in Krishna. There's no other incarnation that has so many pastimes. All of them so amazing, happening one after the other, continuous, and always very sweet. Just like the waves of ocean rise high and fall, this wonderful pastime was happening one after the other, one after the other. And frankly, if you contrast the pastimes of Lord Ram and Krishna, we find that Ram was Maryada Purushottam. Right? See, he was upholding tradition and honor the principles of religion. But Krishna was totally focused on madhurya, sweetness. Forget the tradition. Krishna never followed a single tradition. Many things he did were, strictly speaking, against the principles of religion. So very huge contrast between the pastimes of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, even though they're non-different. Right? So Lord Ram was all about following the religious principles. Doesn't matter how bad a situation created. So, for example, after a stupid comment by a stupid washerman who got punished in Krishna Lila later on, Lord Ram asked Lakshman to take Sita to the forest and leave her because of this comment by a stupid person, washerman. Which means that he put the honor and the tradition above sweetness or the relationship. Even though there was no truth in the allegation by this washerman, she had already given her Agni Pariksha by passing through the fire, and Lord Ram knew the facts. He's omniscient. But he did this simply to uphold the honor and tradition and sacrificed sweetness and fairness. On the other hand, Krishna will steal butter and get a bad reputation as butter thief just because the gopis wanted him to steal. They'll get so upset and depressed if he did not come to their house but went to a neighbor's house. He was doing just to please them. So what? He gets bad reputation for eternity.
I have a question.
हाँ.
आपने बोला कि ना वो जो वॉशरमैन को पनिशमेंट मिला था कृष्ण लीला में, आप बताएंगे if it's not too long?
No, it's not too long at all. So this when Lord Krishna goes to Mathura, he's wandering around in the streets of Mathura, basically visiting the capital city, and he sees this washerman who was Kansa's washerman. He's washing these beautiful clothes that king normally wears, Kansa. He says, "Can I please borrow, some of those clothes so I can wear them and look nice?" And he was very rude. He said, "No, you don't deserve your cowherd boy from somewhere else. You're such an audacity to want to wear king's clothes. Get out." So Krishna got angry, nicely, sweetly slapped him. That severed his head completely. One nice slap. So and then all the dhobis ran away, and Krishna put the clothes on. So that.
Oh, I know this one and I know that one, but I didn't connect these two ever.
Well, there you go. That's why you come to these classes, right?
Yes.
Nice slap and prem se प्रभु जी.
सर वो
Nice and prem se मारा.
हाँ, बहुत प्रेम से, बहुत प्यार से. Anybody else? Any questions?
So the washerman got liberated too, Prabhuji?
Of course.
Of course, just a touch of Krishna.
Yeah, that's it. Anybody else? Okay. And of course, there were some very wonderful pastimes, like when Radha Rani got so-called married to so-called husband Abhimanyu, who was none other than Krishna himself. And then there were these two wonderful, pure devotees by the names of Jatila and Kutila, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, who had a negative role to play. So they'll put all these obstacles in the path of the meeting between Radha and Krishna and made the pastimes even sweeter. Because all these pastimes that we hear about, how they circumvented all the obstacles that Jatila and Kutila put together, how they put them in embarrassing situations, all those kind of things. Just to maintain the sweetness of their pastimes, they allowed these people to do whatever they were doing. Radharani did not care for her reputation. Krishna did not care for his reputation. He'll show up at Radharani's house as a bangle seller, as a doctor, as a fruit seller. So many different disguises. And but he couldn't live away from her, so he'll just show up. And again, when you read or hear this pastime, they're so sweet, so nice. You don't want to stop, right? There are pastimes where how he would sneak into Radharani's house. With Jatila Kutla there, Abhimanyu there, he'll sneak in. One time he convinced Abhimanyu's mother, he went in disguised as Abhimanyu and convinced Abhimanyu's mother that, Krishna is going to come disguised as me, and so don't let him come. He'll try to convince you that it's me, but I'm here. So it's not me. It's Krishna coming as. This Krishna speaking. And so when the real Abhimanyu came, there was Jatila, the mother-in-law, standing there with a big stick. Actually, some say it was a broom in her hand. And as soon as he came slightly near to her, she started waving the broom and said, "Get out, I know you're not Abhimanyu, you're Krishna." And he said, "No, no, mother, I'm actually Abhimanyu. Why are you saying that?" He said, "No, no, I know you're Krishna." And then she beat him up with the jharu. So much that he had to actually run away. And there was Krishna having fun from the window of Radharani's room, watching all this. So anyway, like millions of pastimes, we can spend hours and days talking about those pastimes. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop here and talk about details of one particular pastime. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, let's do that. I was hoping you won't say no. Okay, so one day, Yashoda is talking to Krishna in her house. And she's saying, "My dear son, all these gopis, they're complaining to me that you steal butter from their house, that you break their pots, you pinch their babies. So why do you do that, my son?" And Krishna made that sweet, innocent face. And he said to Mother Yashoda, "Mama or Maya, you're so innocent. I mean, don't you realize you have 900,000 cows? And I've got the butter from those cows available to me. I can eat all the butter I want and still it won't be finished. And you really believe that I will steal butter from their house?" Maya, these ladies are habitual liars. They lie to their husbands, they lie to their children, they lie to you, they lie to everybody else. They're just used to lying. Mother, Maya, just ignore them. They are habitual liars. Just forget it. They have nothing better to do. They have nothing better to do in their life. So they just come here to waste your time and disturb your mood. Just forget them, Maya. Ignore them. Now Mother Yashoda was totally bewildered. She's thinking, "Haan, theek to kehta hai." Of course, it's making sense. Why would he want to steal butter when there's so much butter available right here in our house? He can have as much butter as he wants. Not only that, I don't know how many of you know that out of 900,000 cows, they selected 1,000 best cows. They gave the best of the food, fruits and all that. And then out of 1,000, they chose 100 cows who will drink the milk of these 1,000 cows and get even better food. And then that milk would be fed to 10 cows who got even better fruits and food. And then out of those 10, one was chosen whose milk would be used to make the butter for Krishna. So you can imagine the quality of the butter Krishna was eating at his house. So he's trying to convince Mother Yashoda, these gopis, they have 100 cows, 500 cows, they are low quality cows, low quality butter. Why would I steal that? So now, Mother Yashoda is convinced that, yeah, these gopis are lying. The gopis, on the other hand, did not mean to complain. They loved Krishna so much that they would actually miss him if they did not see him for a while. And going to complain to Mother Yashoda in her house was their excuse to get a glimpse of the beautiful face of Krishna. That's it. That's their love for Krishna. Kind of strange way of expressing it, but that was their way. So one day they got together, the gopis got together, and they went to Yashoda Maiya's house, and they called her outside. Yashoda Maiya, bahar aao. Yashoda Maiya, bahar aao. So she came out, and they started complaining to her again. But this time, Mother Yashoda had been prepared by Krishna. She had been coached. So she remembered that coaching that she got from Krishna. So she flatly accused them of lying. But they protested. No, 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 we are not lying. We're not liars. We are honest people. We are faithful. We are good character. We don't lie. So then Mother Yashoda said, okay, fine. Fine, you're not lying. But if it really comes to your house to steal butter, why don't you hang the pots from the ceiling? He's just a little kid. He cannot get there. They said, oi, hoi, hoi, Maya, you don't know your boy. He comes with other boys. They make a ladder. One boy climbs on the shoulder of another boy. Third boy climbs on the shoulder of the second boy. They make a ladder and they get the pot. Yashoda said, okay, if that's the case, then why did you put the pots in a dark corner of your house? And one gopi said, oi, hoi, hoi, in Kisano. You don't think we have done that? We have put the pots of butter in the darkest corner of the house. But Maya, your son is the most effulgent person on earth. He's wearing ornaments that are also so effulgent. So wherever he goes, this effulgence, this sunshine, there's no such thing as dark wherever he is. But the Yashoda said, well, okay, in that case, close the door, lock it from inside. They said, we tried that too. But somehow he manages to open the door. Mother Yashoda said, well, in that case, why don't you just yell at him? He's a little boy, he'll get scared, he'll run away. And I said, bahut kiya, bahut data. We tried. But you know, he just starts laughing. When we yell at him, he starts laughing. And he starts to mock us and mimic us. If he says, Krishna, butter mat churao. He says, Krishna, butter mat churao. Then we say, nakal mat karo. Nakal mat karo. So whatever we say, he starts to mimic us. But I said, okay, Baba, you know, when he comes, just give him something to eat. Just feed him something, you know, and then he'll go away. I said, Maya, wo bhi karke dekh liya. But he simply rejects whatever we give him. He doesn't want it. He only wants to steal. And I said, okay, then yes, let me give you a very bright, smart idea because you guys are not very educated. You don't know. Let me give you a great idea. Okay, Maya, batao. Maya says, put some fake pots along with the real pots where the real butter is there. Then he won't know. He won't know which pot actually has butter. And they said, Maya, wo bhi karke dekh liya. Somehow he knows which pot has the butter. He only goes to the pot with the real butter in it. We keep it real high. Then he takes a danda and makes a hole in it. And he starts drinking the butter that's dripping from the hole. Not only that, Maya, if that was the only thing we could tolerate it. But you know, he comes and he releases the calves. Bachड़ों को खोल देता. Maya said, so what's the problem with that? It's only helping you because you have to do that sooner or later anyway. They said, yeah, but he does that before it's time to feed them. Before it's time to milk the cows. So they come and drink all the milk from the cows. There's nothing left for us. And Maya, if that was the only thing that's so bad, if he came and ate the butter himself, we don't mind. But he brings all his friends. And he feeds them. And when all of them are full, they call monkeys. And he starts feeding them. Now, you know the relationship between monkeys and Krishna, right? Anybody? What's the relationship between Krishna and monkeys?
From Ram Leela.
Ram Leela, exactly. He's paying his debt off. He owed them so much. He's feeding them butter by his own hands. They helped him so much in the battle with Ravan. So he feels so much in debt, so much gratitude, that even when the monkeys say, okay, Krishna, we are full, we don't want any more. He says, no, thoda aur kha lo. He insists on feeding them. He's thinking, I want to get rid of your debt as quickly as possible, so please eat more butter. And then the gopis said, Bhaiya, it's not just that. As he's leaving the room after stealing all that butter and eating it and feeding to the friends and the monkeys, on his way out, he'll pinch my baby and make him cry. One day, Bhaiya, ye to gajab ho gaya. One day he tied my husband up as he was sleeping. And look now, how innocently sitting there, listening to us complain to you. ऐसा भोला बन के चुपचाप बैठा हुआ है. But
sorry to interrupt. His age was around 4 years old when he was doing all this mischief.
Well, anywhere from Damodar Lila happened was 2.5.
Okay.
So maybe 2 plus.
Okay.
And yeah, he was just doing all of that. Okay, so but this time again, as I said before, Mother Yashoda has been coached, prepared well by Krishna. So she says, I'm sorry, you can say all you want, but whatever you have described cannot be my son Krishna. It must be somebody else's child. You're confused and you're blaming my Krishna unnecessarily. I think there's some envy going on here. So I don't like it. So go away and don't come back unless you can bring some proof. Now the gopis are really mad. Actually hurt too. So they say, okay, Maya, what proof do you want? What proof do you need? And Maya said, catch him and bring him to me red-handed. Catch him red-handed and bring him to me. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe you. So the gopis were really angry. They were so mad. Some of them were crying because they were so angry. Some of them were actually sad. So sad and mad, and they felt they had been chastised unnecessarily and unfairly by Mother Yashoda, and they all went away. But very soon, they got on their emails and WhatsApps and Facebook and Twitter, and they invited everybody. A big conference call. It wasn't Zoom, it was something else. But they had a big conference call. And they decided that they will catch Krishna red-handed. And they agreed on one house which would be prepared to catch Krishna. So they hung some many parts of butter, clearly visible from the outside. They turned all the lights out, left the door open, and they hid in various corners of the house, waiting for Krishna to come. And sure enough, they did not have to wait long. Krishna showed up, along with some of his friends, and a few monkeys as well. And they took down one pot, and they started eating from it. As soon as Krishna put his hand in the pot, got butter in his hand, put it in his mouth, so there was butter on his face, they came running and caught hold of Krishna. They grabbed his hand and they told him, we are going to take you to Mother Yashoda as a proof that we have caught you red-handed, and we will actually embarrass her by reminding her that she should have believed us and not you, because her chastising was not fair. She should have chastised you because you're the liar, we were telling the truth. And then they called the neighboring gopis to join them. They told them that they caught Krishna red-handed, and they were going to Yashoda Maiya to complain with the proof. So all the gopis got together. They started walking towards Krishna's house. And as they were walking, more and more gopis were joining from their houses. This whole procession now going. Well, Krishna was doing the same thing. As he was walking, going past the houses of his friends, he'll call them by name, they'll come out. So now this whole group of little boys, Krishna's friends, and these ladies, the gopis. And in those days, they had these big veils. So they are their face covered, they're walking, and one of the gopis is holding the hand of Krishna. I'm not letting you go, my boy. You are my proof.
Right.
Krishna is saying to his friends, these gopis, they invited me to their house for dinner. Now they're accusing me of stealing butter. Can you imagine that? And the Gopa friends are saying, yeah, this is bad, this is really bad, this is really bad. We'll be your witness. So the whole procession got there. And because of the veil, gopis had a very limited vision. They could only see just under them because the head was bowed down, the veil was there, all they could see was the ground on which they're walking. So now, visualize, just imagine one gopi holding Krishna's hand and all these people following in a procession. Krishna called, some stories say Madhumangal, some stories say the son of this particular gopi whose house he had been caught. Either way, he called this friend. Krishna released his hand from Gopi's hand and put this friend's hand in her hand. But because the gopis are busy imagining what they will say, imagining the reaction of Mother Yashoda when she sees the proof, they're all busy thinking that, and they can't see much anyway because of the veil. But in the meantime, Krishna has swapped his hand with the hand of his friend. Now Gopi is very happy. Finally, we have proof. We're going to go. And so they're chatting among themselves that finally it's our time. It's our chance to embarrass Mother Yashoda now for what she did. And they were thinking about all the fun they're going to have with Yashoda, how she's going to blush and finally admit that, yes, her son is the butter thief, etc., etc. They were just imagining all this. They finally got to... sorry. Mother, I have to mute you.